Hello everyone, Dexto here and welcome to City Skylines, and today we're going to take out the trash. So today we're going to be looking at a big waste transfer facility, alright? We're going to use some of the in-game assets, but we're also going to extend them with some different industry assets and so on and so forth. So, you know, asset extension, as we call it. So let's start with our medium industry road here. We'll just start somewhere on the map, right? We'll drag up a distance of 350, all right? Just to get our start point here. And from there, I'm going to go to the right here by a distance of 500 and to the left by a distance of 300. And we'll also take this up by 250, just like this, all right? So this is going to be our sort of starting square. I'm going to, while I'm here, remove the traffic lights so I don't forget it, because I don't want traffic lights here, all right? And then from here, I'm going to go into our small industry roads here, this one, all right? And we'll just close this off, use the road guidelines, all right? Here, I'm going to put what would be an entrance building, all right? And there's the perfect little corner asset here, which is the post office, all right? So I'm just going to throw that in here. And then we'll come back later and put some parking over here, all right? Some nice vanilla parking. But let's throw in our first trash asset, all right? So we'll come back into our industries here and then under garbage, and we'll take our recycling center, all right? And that's going to slot in very nicely right there. Cool. So now we're beginning to see this build take shape, all right? Now, I'm going to want this to look like a massive waste transfer station, all right? So we're going to mix and match a bunch of different things here. So I'm going to come back into our industry roads here, all right? Still our small industry road, and we'll drag this over by a distance of 240, all right? Just like that. And then we can come up here as well by a distance of 240. And I think from here, I'm actually going to turn off my road guidelines, because what can happen with the road guidelines is that it can snap to some weird angles and you get broken zoning. This hasn't happened here, but it can happen, and it can be quite the nuisance to fix. So anyway, I'm going to come back into industry here, and then we'll take our waste transfer facility, all right? And I'm going to put it here, leaving a space of one tile to the left, all right? Cool. So this is going to end up being flux with this, all right? So sort of a natural entrance point here. And then over here, I'm actually going to zone out some generic industry, all right? Probably the ugliest zoning you can get in City Skylines. However, if you utilize it correctly, it can be, well, industrial looking. I'm not going to say pretty, but it can look pretty good. All right, so we'll zone out like so, some 1x1s. Let that grow in, and then we'll come out and zone the rest, all right? And then if we come down here, so it's a little bit easier to see, okay? When it's done, it'll look like this, all right? This is the asset that I want, all right? So imagine sort of barracks, I would guess, for the workers. Really nice asset, and it's just a normal 1x1, all right? Let's continue out this build, all right? So we'll grab our small industry road, and we'll come over here by a distance of 360, all right? And this is just going to end there. Now on the other side, this one, we're going to drag this up by 1260, all right? That's going to be the entirety of the right side of the build. Cool. And then here on this side, I want another generic industry asset, and there's one that looks like containers, right? I see it heavily used in like container harbor builds, but I'm going to put it in here to act as sort of storage for, well, for all the trash, right? So I'm going to mark one zone out 4x4, let it grow in, and then zone the other one out, okay? And then, yeah, you'll see in a little bit what specific asset that I'm looking for. And it's this one, all right? So 2 4x4 industries here, really nice asset, all right? Up here, if we go back into our garbage, there's this one, our waste processing complex, all right? So I'm going to throw this in here like so. Really big, really pretty asset, all right? I'm going to leave this here for now. So now we can already see how it's starting to take shape, right? We have sort of the entrance here, right? the waste transfer, or the recycling facility, the waste transfer, and then the waste processing complex, the vanilla assets. But let's utilize maybe some of the warehouses from the industries DLC, okay? So we'll grab our industry road, and from here, we'll come over by 390, all right? And then we'll just mark this up. This is gonna end up being 780. And then we'll come down to this corner again and drag it out by another 300, all right? So so 10 units, cool. And then down by 10 as well. And then over by 270. And we'll go down by 240. And then over, and this can just meet up to that, all right? Now the reason for this sort of windy roads here is because the medium warehouses, if you line them up in a very specific manner, all right, namely like so, they will actually flux with one another. So they look like sort of more one asset, all right? This will also help your city with distributing goods throughout the city. Industries DLC is very finicky. You can have lots of issues. For now, I'm just going to set these to commercial zones just to get rid of that warning, all right? Then up here, we can take this little one and place it just like that. Cool. Then, of course, we can come back with some paths and detail it up, all right? We'll come back to that. Now, we can already see sort of the grand scale of this, how it's really supposed to be, all right? But it's still missing a little something. So I'm gonna place in a huge warehouse here, all right? Like that. Cool. That's very good looking, all right? Super nice. I love these warehouse assets, all right? They're so pretty. And they look so industrial, okay? So they fit in perfectly in this area over here. However, from the research I've done about waste transfer facilities, now I'm no expert, I don't know exactly how they work, but I always see what I imagine what looks like sort of oil drums, all right? So let's implement this here as well. So let's come back into our small industry road, and we'll come over here by a distance of 570. All right. And we'll close it off with this one. So we'll come over here by 360. Perfect. And we'll close those two up. Cool. And then in our oil industry, we can take our large crude oil tank farm. It's a very long name. But yeah, we can place this over here, all right? We don't need an industry area to place this down. It doesn't need to be on an oil deposit or anything. We can just place it down wherever. And if you do have an oil industry in your area, they will just put oil into here, all right? We have a little bit of space here, so let's fill this in with some generic industry, right? So again, with the generic industry, it is very important that you are very specific with your zoning. There are a lot of not very pretty assets in this pool, so I'm going to be very specific about my 4x4 zoning, all right? And we're going to be very choosy about what assets grow in. And the two assets that I would allow to grow here, they look like this, all right? It's a little bit of tank storage going on as well, maybe some processing. They just complement this very nicely, all right? Another thing that I like between these assets is the color scheme, right? They complement each other very nicely, right? This sort of tainted gray. So now we have the look of the waste transfer facility, right? It's looking huge, looking bombastic, and very industrial. We do have a little bit of space here and here, right? So here I want to put some generic industry as well. It's going to be two 2x4s. And then here I'll show you a very neat ore industry asset. So up here, I'll just zone out. And there's one asset in particular that I'm looking for, a 2x2. And it looks like this, sort of a storage facility warehouse kind of thing, right? A little garage, if you will. Now, here, I'm going to put in a micro district, all right? Let's call it that. So we'll just take our smallest smallest district, district paint, this one, she's words, they don't exist. We'll come into our industry specialization. I got thrown off there. Anyways, we'll choose our or industry specialization, and there you go. Put it on here, all right? Did it work? I don't know if it worked. This may be too small for it. Let's make it a little bit bigger, right? Cool. Will you know? Yeah, there you go. And I'm gonna remove this name, right? So you select the name, hit spacebar, and hit enter, and now you just see this little thing. But I can live with that. Now all sewn in here, one by ones, and there's some very specific assets in the ore industry pool that I'm looking for. All right, so specifically zoning. Okay, the assets that I'm looking for, they look like this. All right, this is in the ore industry specialization pool of assets, and it's just, you know, this is a waste transfer facility. All right, they'll have some waste laying around. It's just it fits perfectly. All right, I'm so happy I found this. Cool. Let's remove this traffic light as well. We don't need that. All right, get out of here. Any other traffic lights snuck up on me? No. Okay, well, in that case, let's go ahead and detail this up. I'll be right back. I'm back. We haven't detailed yet, but I forgot the parking. So if we take a little district here, we paint this out, right? We go to our commercial specialization and we give it the organic and local produce, throw it on there. Then we take our commercial, zone it out. Okay, the asset that I'm looking for is a 2x4 in the Green Cities DLC, all right? And we let this grow in. Let me just remove this. Cool. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. And we'll let this grow in, and then once it's finished, it'll look like this. All right, so these are 2x4 Green Cities parking, all right? Very nice asset, very useful, actually. Cool. So now, for real, let's get to detailing. Very sort of simple detailing. I just put some foliage down just to give it some texture, some stones, some fencing around the premises, all right? Very stark, very simple. I love these industry roads because they have these. I actually don't know what they're called. If you know, let me know in the comments. I would love to know what they're called. But yeah, very simple, very stark. I love the fact that these are from the ore industry. They fit so well, all right? It's the waste transfer facilities, sort of waste throwage, if you could call it that. But yeah, it came together very nicely, all right? Let's get out of that tree. Let's just take a look here really quickly. So the big Stark waste processing complex, right? Some containers for storage, for whatever. Lots of trash truck. Lots of trash truck. Okay, lots of trash trucks going around. English is not my first language, so if I mumble or stumble or stutter, that's why. But yeah, I'm super satisfied with this, right? I love the way these sort of oil drums, they complement the waste processing complex, how the generic industry really sits well in between all of this, and with the warehouse, this giant warehouse paired with the medium warehouses and the small warehouse, right? But that's going to do it for this video, and I really hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed building it. And if you did, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you have any suggestions or wishes for what you would like me to build next, let me know in the comments below. But for now, enjoy the rest of your day, evening, or night, and see you next time. Bye bye.